Okay, so tell me your name and where you're from.
My name is V, and I'm from New Zealand.
What part of New Zealand are you in?
I'm in the Waikato. The city is called Hamilton, or yeah, so Waikato district, about 2 hours from Auckland.
So, and wait, where is the capital of New Zealand? Is that Wellington?
It's, yeah,
Okay.
strange. Like a lot of places in the world, a smaller city is actually the capital. So the
Hmm.
biggest city, well-known city, is Auckland, but it's not the capital.
So, tell us about what kind of music you do there.
And I have two different uh, offshoots of music that I do. I have a band that I work with, and I'm the front man for them. They're a reggae element. Um, I would say it'd be reggae would be the backdrop, the kind of foundation that we built from, and then encumbered all of our different genres into that. So I would say it's a new style of reggae with fusion of progressive elements in there. Um, and then I also do solo music as well. That tends to be more stuff from my heart, so along the lines of the folk slash pop singer-songwriter stuff. Yeah, that's what I do musically.
So what has been the effect then this year with COVID and lockdowns? Has it affected a lot of the music there in New Zealand? I mean, shut down a lot of the shows, and what kind of effect has that had with the lockdowns?
Yeah, man. I mean, look, it's affected everyone globally, and affected all businesses in in its some shape or form. Of course, the arts typically have taken a pretty big hit with it. Um, so what has that meant for, say, people like myself who are not necessarily established enough that we can live off the money that we've earned through music in this lockdown period? What it's meant for us is that these small gigs that we had around nationally, of course, got instantly cancelled with lockdown. So I mean, obviously, we've gone through a different range with New Zealand. We've been a lot easier. It's been a lot easier here in New Zealand than, say, other places in the world as far as lockdown, levels of lockdown, and how many people have been affected by this coronavirus. Um, so we've been pretty lucky here. We've been one of the more luckier countries in the world. What it's meant is that we haven't had international artists coming in when we were in proper lockdown. Our prime minister, bless her, kind of she really loves her people. She loves New Zealand and the people that live here. And so she put that forward more than anything. So she stopped, anybody coming in from overseas. So we had no international acts. And I suppose the big New Zealand bands felt that yes, they could play the odd gig around, but they didn't want to oversaturate the market with their already well-known music. So what that's done is it's created, I guess, some opening for us smaller groups, artists, bands to be able to nationally get known and recognized. Um, or at least I've seen that open in the market and that possibility to be able to try and harness the fact that at the moment our airports borders are closed off to international acts to a degree. To a degree, we're actually obviously, as every place is constantly adapting and changing, we are at the moment um, reasonably free around New Zealand. We've got no issues here. And I think the odd international artist can get in through a lot of quarantine process. Um, but what that's meant, I guess, is for a lot of musicians, artists, poets, whatever, is to go back to the drawing board, to write again, to remember what it is to sit back with your pen and paper off the road, I guess, for a lot of these big musos, and really get back to the roots of music again and why we do music. And I think for a lot of musicians in particular, it has allowed us to go back to our roots and find why we originally started. Some have decided since coming back, since the music has opened up, to actually step back from the music now. They've decided, maybe they had their run on it. And for others, like myself, it's given us more of a push and more of a drive to be able to try to get music out and our own music out there as far and wide as we possibly can. I think the world is also looking a reasonable amount at New Zealand because we've done quite well with everything, and the fact that a lot of countries are looking at New Zealand as a place to be able to possibly film movies, TV series, music videos, because we are theoretically reasonably COVID free at the moment. So for the arts, we have definitely felt it, but not as bad in New Zealand as some other countries. And we are very lucky in that aspect due to our chief in command. She has made it possible for us to be able to continue doing the arts. And, I'm in the process at the moment of setting up a New Zealand tour for kind of like the early start of next year. So
yeah,
that is kind of like, I guess.
I was gonna say, it seems like your leader kind of took the opposite as Donald Trump took. My current president, he kind of pretended like he acted like it was a joke, and then he ended up catching COVID himself, and then even afterwards he still isn't taking it that seriously. So we both just had an election. You guys had a marijuana referendum on a ballot. And it didn't pass. Is CBD, for instance, is that legal at any place in New Zealand? Are there areas of New Zealand where marijuana is decriminalized at all?
So I'm not massively well versed when it comes to the legislated rules, when it comes to legality form as far as what's recently happened. But I do know that CBD is accessible for people with health issues in New Zealand. That is, I think, legal. You've definitely got to have some serious debilitating illness for you to be able to get it from the government in that aspect. But at the moment, unfortunately, the referendum did not pass in, strangely. So very strange. We only missed out by a few thousand, but wasn't much. So we're hoping that it will bring back at least the option that they'll redo it again soon. Obviously, for a lot of us musicians, it can tend to go hand in hand. So it'll be always good to not be locked up and put in prison with people that kind of do things like murder and rape, for smoking some marijuana.
Yep.
Look, laws and that change when they're meant to change at the right time. Things happen for a reason. I'm a firm believer in it. Everything that's happening throughout our world is happening for a particular reason. And we can either try to find the signs in it and learn from them and see what our universe or Gaia is unfolding and presenting for us, or we can try and blankly kind of ignore the obvious, which two standpoints to take. So I definitely was the first. I'm trying to be more open, see the change and see the beauty and see the things that we took maybe for granted. I think this has been a very world and everybody in it.
Is calling. Have you ever lost yourself on a Sunday? I got a party in my mind that's better with warm in my plate that's just for you. Always up my Sunday smoothie, yeah.
the term Kiwi, I hear that a lot. I mean, that's a term you guys use there in New Zealand? I mean, is it just because there's a lot of Kiwi? I mean, any ideas where that term comes from?
Yeah, so I mean, I know in like the States, you guys say kiwi, you're talking about possibly the kiwi fruit.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
so when we say kiwi, we're talking about bird. So there's a bird called a kiwi, and it's only here in New Zealand, as far as I know. As far as I know, it's only here in New Zealand. It's our own. I'm pretty sure it hasn't made its way over to Australia, although
it's
some.
funny because I came across this kiwi literally right before I was about to shoot this interview. It's a shoe polish, right? And so I was thinking, like, is this shoe polish made in New Zealand? No, it's made in Canada. But kiwi, I guess there's a bird called the kiwi.
There's a bird called, quite a unique looking bird. Totally check it out. It's definitely aviation wise. I think it definitely didn't. It drew the short straw in that aspect. I think it does a lot, and we haven't got a lot of them, so we take care of the ones that we do have. But that's a slang that we I guess, or a term that we ended up getting called because of the fact that its only home is here in New Zealand, the kiwi bird. So that goes with us, other than calling us like New Zealanders.
Mm-hmm. So tell us then, last question, tell us where people can find your music and see your work.
Well, obviously with social media, there's many different revenues. There's definitely different avenues, sorry, that you could find my music being, whether it be Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. But I mean, the easiest thing is my name. So my name is ZVI. That is my name, my actual name, my musician name. And it's an easy way to find me online, obviously. So yeah, if you type in ZVI in pretty much any one of the platforms, you'll come up with my music. I've only got the one track in Spotify, being that for me personally, I try not to release anything unless it's, in my mind, world standard class. So that means a lot of money and a lot of time has been poured into it. Sometimes upwards of $10,000 or more just for the music video. So therefore, I may not have a large accumulative amount of music out there, but what I have, I hope, is of high standard. So you can find my stuff I've got a few music videos on YouTube. I'm on Facebook, obviously, and an Instagram. Yeah, reasonably easy to find.
All right. Well, thank you for taking time to talk with us today.
No problem, buddy. Thank you for interviewing me, and yeah, I hope all is well for you guys over the next coming months as things unfold as to how your country's going to be. And also, fingers crossed that you guys start to get better with this virus thing now that someone else is actually in charge.
Yes.
So,
all right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah, you take care.